New season, new launches, new hype, and somehow your handicap is still the same. Today, I'm going to walk you through the most overpriced things in golf, the stuff that quietly drains golfers every single year. And then I'll show you what actually helps instead. The boring, high return decisions that lower your scores and protect your wallet. And here's the surprise. By the end, I'm going to name one habit that costs more golfer than any driver, any ball, any fitting, any gadgets. Before we even talk about products, we need one quick reality check because the entire golf industry is marketed like you're a tour pro, while most golfers are not even close. In England, the average handicap index is about 19.3, which means most people watching this are normal golfers trying to break 90 or break 100, not trying to win the Open. And in the US, the USGA reports the average handicap index is only 14.2 for men and 28.7 for women. And the National Golf Foundation estimates the average 18-hole score is about 94. So if you're being sold tour-level gear solution for an amateur reality, you can already see the problem. Now let's talk about the first overpriced category, because this is where the industry makes the most noise, especially this time of year. The first overpriced thing in golf is buying brand new flagship clubs on release, especially drivers. In the UK, TaylorMade's latest driver line is being priced at £549 at launch. If you love new gear and you can afford it, fair enough. It's your hobby, enjoy it. But the overpriced part is when golfers buy the newest driver thinking it is going to fix a miss or transform their score. If you are a mid-handicapper, a new driver does not change your decision making. It does not remove penalty shots. It does not stop you aiming at trouble. And it definitely does not make your strike pattern magically consistent. The value alternative here is simple. Most golfers get the best deal by buying the previous generation or even 2 generations back and putting the difference into things that actually reduce strokes, like practice lesson or even more rounds. And the reason this matters is psychological. The industry wants you to believe progress comes from purchases, not from habits, because habits do not generate quarterly sales. Now, staying on the same theme, the second overpriced thing in golf is limited edition drops, tour issues, labels, and scarcity marketing. This is where the industry stops selling performance and starts selling identity. You see it everywhere now. Limited colorways, special head covers, tour-inspired releases, small batches, early access. The performance difference is usually tiny or completely non-existent. But the emotional pull is huge because scarcity creates urgency. The value alternative here is to train yourself to buy specs, not stories. If you can say in one sentence what the club solves for you, great. If you cannot, and your reason is it looks unreal, or it's limited, or everyone is using it, you're not buying performance. You are buying belonging. The third overpriced thing in golf is premium golf balls. Let's use a real number. Titleist lists Pro V1s at £52 per dozen in the UK. It's a brilliant ball. It's also a painful ball if you are losing balls regularly. If you're not creating consistent strike and spin conditions, if you are playing on wet winter fairways, if you are hitting half wedges that come out hot sometimes and dead other times, if your miss is a slice into the trees, you are paying premium pricing for premium inconsistency. The value alternative is not buy the cheapest ball, is to buy the most consistent ball for your game at a sensible price and stick with it long enough to learn it inside out. Most amateur would score better from familiarity and consistent feel than from the marginal performance difference between premium balls, especially when half of them end up swimming anyway. Now, the next overpriced category is one that feels modern and smart, and that is exactly why it works. Subscription golf. The industry has discovered that selling you something once is good, but selling you something every month or every year is better. Shot tracking platforms, AI caddy apps, smart rangefinders, strokes gains dashboards, GPS subscription, premium features unlock the full analytics, and suddenly you are paying forever. Arcos, for example, makes it clear that an annual subscription is required for full app use across its tracking products. Our data is not bad. Data is useful if you act on it. But most golfers do not need more data. They need fewer mistakes. If you are paying a recurring subscription and you cannot name the one behavior it changed in your last 5 rounds, you are not buying improvement. You are renting the feeling of improvement. The value alternative is to keep it brutally simple. Track 3 things manually for 4 rounds. Penalty shots, 3 putts, misdirection of the tee. That is enough to identify what is actually costing you strokes, without paying monthly for graphs you never act on. Fifth overpriced thing in golf is training aids and miracle gadgets. Golf is hard, so a product that promises fix your slice in 10 swings is basically irresistible. But most training aids are just physical versions of the same idea, a shortcut around doing the boring work. The industry loves this category because the margin is high, the claims are vague, and golfers buy them in an emotional state, usually right after a bad range session. The value alternative here is to pick one simple, repeatable drill that matches the problem you actually have, and commit to it for 2 weeks. If your miss is heel strike, work on strike location. If your miss is an open face, work on club face awareness. You do not need 10 gadgets. You need one plan and enough discipline to repeat it and stick to it. Now, there is another overpriced area that almost no one talks about because it sounds like good practice, but in reality, it often becomes a spending trap. The sixth overpriced thing in golf is wedge stacking and gapping obsession, especially for amateurs. This is the golfer's version of thinking more choices equals better outcomes. You carry a pitching wedge, then you add a gap wedge, then a sand wedge, and finally a lob wedge. Then you start worrying about bounce, grind, row faces, grooves, and suddenly you have 4 wedges and no idea what any of them actually does under pressure. The industry loves this because wedges are replaced frequently, they wear out, they get refreshed, and the marketing is all about spin, spin, spin. But most amateurs don't need more spin. They need predictable contact and predictable carry. The value alternative is to become deadly with one main wedge for most shots, and then have one option for bunkers and higher flights. And that's it. Fewer wedges used more often builds feel. More wedges used rarely builds indecision. Seventh overpriced thing is the quiet creep of fees around the game. Not just the membership, but all the small extras that become normal. The annual fees rising, the admin, the competition entry, the locker fee, the bar pricing, the club upgrades, and it adds up quickly. Golf Monthly has discussed how UK membership fees have shifted over time, with the majority of reported fees moving from under £1,000 per year pre-2020 to the majority being over that figure in more recent reporting. So the value alternative here is to treat golf like a budget category and decide intentionally what brings you the most happiness and the most scoring return. If you love playing, spend on playing. If you love improving, spend on practice and instruction. If you love equipment, fine, but choose one category, not all of them at once. Right, if you are enjoying this, if you want more content that exposes golf spending traps and shows you what actually lowers scores, subscribe. Now, let me bring it all together with what actually helps. If you want to get better at golf without burning cash, the highest return actions are rarely glamorous. What lowers scores for the average golfer is boring. It is keeping the ball in play, it is choosing targets that remove big numbers, it is reducing penalties, it is having one reliable tee shot you trust. It's building a simple short game system you can repeat. It's learning your real distances and playing to them instead of guessing. And here's the habit I promised earlier, the one that costs more golfer more than any driver. It is buying based on emotion instead of buying based on a plan. That's a hidden expense. The impulse driver, the panic ball purchase, the late night gadget order. the limited drop because you had a bad round and you wanted relief. When you remove emotional buying, you instantly become a better golfer financially. And you usually become a better golfer on the course too, because you stop outsourcing confidence to equipment. So here's a practical challenge you can do this week. Before you buy anything golf related, wait 48 or 72 hours and ask yourself one question in plain English. What stroke does this remove from my game? If you cannot answer that simple question, do not buy it yet. And if you can answer it, great, then you buy it deliberately, not emotionally. Now, if you want to go deeper into this whole topic, check out my other videos because it pairs perfectly with this one and explains the mindset shift that stops the spending cycle at the source. Let me know in the comments what you think is the most overpriced thing in golf right now and what you wish you had known before you spend that money on it. Subscribe if you want more videos like this, and I will see you in the next one.